I'm going to answer your questions today about Alocasias and Anthuriums in LECA. So if you're interested in that, get out your white gloves and stay tuned. Anthuriums and Alocasias. I have a few Anthuriums and Alocasias, I want to say left because I had more in my collection. I learned a huge lesson from my Alocasia poly. If you're new to this channel, it's Pretty in Plants. I'm Rachel, and the reason I call this channel Pretty in Plants is because my endeavoring is to find practical ways to decorate my space with plants to enhance the space and make it prettier. I am not looking to collect the most plants in the world. My plant goals have more to do with beautifying the space that I live in. If I lived in an apartment, if I lived at the coast, depending on the part of the world I'd live in, my plant collection would look different. And I have very high ceilings in my house, and we built this house 15 years ago. I will be doing a plant tour this week. So the plants that you see that are in my collection have a lot to do with not only my personal taste, but what spaces I have to fill and to beautify and enhance our environment. Some of the plants that I collected at the very beginning was because I loved them. I loved the leaves or the form, or there was something about them that I just fell in love with. But after keeping them or having them or killing them or going through some things with them, I realized some things about myself, and I realized some things about my space. And this has to do with specifically the two A's, the Alocasias and the Anthurium. The thing about Anthuriums and Alocasias is I absolutely love them, and when I see them, it's hard for me not to buy them. The bigger the better. I think the leaves are so dramatic and giant. The root system is a little bit more to me like my orchids. They like to be watered once a month, and they like to completely dry out and then be watered. I am not seeing with my Anthuriums them developing water roots and just loving the LECA life. They love LECA, they do well in LECA, but if you miss it, like if you water them too soon, I actually have to touch these a little differently and look at them differently. I can't just look in the bottom of the pot. I need to actually feel the roots, and if the roots feel cool and damp, that means not to water them. Go ahead and water them. Like if I'm going on vacation and I'm tempted, a lot of times I'll come back and several of the leaves will have holes in them. They will be yellowing now that I have a breakdown because of one of my waterings 6 waterings ago. So that's why I put on the white gloves for Anthuriums. Are kind of expensive. The last way, like the staghorn fern, to mount my Anthuriums on the wall. But staghorn ferns, the reason you can mount them on the wall is the root system is small. The Anthuriums have a very large root system that goes with those leaves. So here's the next issue, is mounting it on the wall. I would have to have a huge something for the roots. So you can see where I'm going with the Anthuriums. They like LECA, they do well in LECA, but they are a little more finicky plant. My philodendrons are giving me so much more joy. They respond quickly. If I overwater them and they're sad, I put them on a warm mat and kind of mist them. They come back and all of a sudden they get new leaves again. The Anthuriums aren't forgiving. They're a little more bitter towards you. And the last thing about Anthuriums is they don't grow very quickly. The growth is very, very slow. I still get joy out of the Anthuriums that I have, but there are some that you don't see in my collection anymore just because they weren't bringing me the cost of taking care of them was outweighing the joy. Okay, so that's Anthuriums. Alocasias. I want to go back to the Alocasias. Same thing with so Anthuriums are like big and wide, and Alocasias are straight and up, and they're majestic and they're gorgeous. And I would have 100 Alocasias if I were me 8 months ago. Having lived with some of these plants, having put them in leca, having discovered kind of the ease for philodendrons and cactus and echeveria and sansevieria and some of the other plants, Alocasias, I make myself think twice before acquiring more Alocasias. I had quite an Alocasia collection, as y'all knew. I acquired several before the winter. Again, that was my latest, like right before winter. And I'm thinking in Texas, we don't get much of a winter. It's just kind of a non-event, and the plants are inside anyway. But it was Alocasias. Put on your white gloves. They can be very finicky. Now, I will say they're a lot more fulfilling than the Anthuriums because my Alocasias put out new leaves quickly. They grow very fast. Once they're adapted to leca, they really love it. They do put out water roots. And I'm gonna put my Regal Shields, my Alocasia Regal Shields. The little bowl inside of my other plant came from an Alocasia seed. You can grow them or from a bulb that came out in the roots of the mother plant. That works better in my home and that I can provide the right light for. And the Alocasias, I can't have very many of them. Having said that, they're the most gorgeous plants on the earth. I had an Alocasia poly. She had put out probably 15 new leaves. She loved her life in dirt here and where I placed her. So then I put her in leca. She adjusted. She was loving leca and just pushing out and pushing out and pushing out new leaves and getting lots of water roots. And if you let them really dry and then water. Now, once they get the water roots, I've noticed my Regal Shields doesn't really like to dry out that much. The second the water's gone, she's like, okay, I'm ready for more water. And now that her roots have adapted, she really likes me to keep some water in her and kind of tall. So I think a lot of Alocasias are like that. Once they go through the adaptation period, they want more water. I know my Regal Shields, I rotted 2 or 3 of the leaves, not from overwatering, but from underwatering. So my Alocasias seem to be an underwatering issue more than overwatering. Holly, I loved her. So she was my favorite plant and I killed her. And the way I killed her, she was doing great in dirt, transferred her. I was very cautious, underconfident, insecure, taking my time, just led her up to loving the leca life. She totally adapted. Her roots grew down. She grew twice as many roots, twice as many leaves. I was like, yes, this is awesome. And then I started watching videos of other people and looking at other Instagrammers. And I started feeling like, ooh, maybe what it was, I'm supposed to check her roots. And because other people were checking their roots, I took her out of the leca. The roots were phenomenal. I had like 2 or 3 dead things. I got them out, put her back in, kept going like normal, like kept watering her, and she died. I mean, she turned yellow in 24 hours. And it was almost like I was supposed to take the same caution when I put her back in leca as I had the first time in leca, and I didn't know that. I was super, super sad about this. I could still cry about it because I really love that plant. I'm gonna cry on camera over a plant. I can't believe it. But I really loved her. In fact, I tried to buy another one and it just wasn't the same. I loved that one. And I loved the place that I had it in my closet. And after that, I collected all these Alocasias. When they started going south, it was like I had this, like, you're a bad boyfriend type deal. So I still have a couple of Alocasias. I love my Regal Shields. My Zabrina keeps holding on. I almost killed her. But it was a huge lesson for me. Do everything other people are doing. every time I branch out and I try to mimic other people who are doing things in leca, I feel like it doesn't turn out very well for me. If I keep it really simple, and if the plant's doing well, don't check the roots, like just let it do well. If it starts going south after it's been doing well, that means it's kind of root bound and now it needs to move. So that's Alocasias and Anthurium. This helped y'all. Hope y'all, this wasn't too emotional. That was probably my hardest out of all the plants I've had and ones that have died. That one was the hardest for me, and it was probably $12. I mean, it wasn't, for me, it's not the price of the plant, it's what the plant means to me. And emotionally, I was very attached to that plant for some reason. So anyway, hope y'all enjoyed this, and I'll be doing a couple of tours in the next couple weeks. If you're new here, thank you so much for coming and liking, subscribing, commenting. Okay, so I mentioned Pro Patch or All Pro spackling on one of my tips of the day for repairing holes in your wall. When I went to the paint store, they had the All Pro, and then I couldn't believe, I mean, look at the size of this jar. I mean, it was still like $10. It wasn't super expensive, but who uses that much spackling paste? This is Crawford's light-bodied vinyl spackling paste, and top quality. And when I saw this can, it was right next to the All Pro, and the only thing about the All Pro is the consistency. It's kind of hard to work with. It gets kind of clumpy. And so the guy, my friend at Benjamin Moore, I was like, how is this compared to the All Pro? And he was like, no comparison. It's amazing. I was like, can I please get a smaller thing? And probably, I haven't even tried it yet, but this is what the guy told me. So I'm always repairing my walls. If you want to know what this color is behind me, the wall color, Benjamin Moore Hale Navy. It's my favorite navy. I have it I've done 2 rooms in it, and now I've just done a 3rd room at our office for my mom. If you saw my Instagram, the vase with the Sansevieria in it, that was for my mom's new hers for us. She's 78 years old. She is amazing and phenomenal. I love you, Mom. And so all of a sudden I looked at our office and I'm like, this thing is hideous. We need to paint the walls, do some fresh plants that look like they weren't stuck in the 80s. And so I'm working on that right now. So anyway, Hale Navy with Benjamin Moore is this color, and that's the spackling paste I found this week. Hope y'all enjoy the show. Can't wait to see you next time. Love you. Bye-bye.